Lovitz has had his way down this left-hand side of the field. He's been able to get in his final third pretty easily. This is the ball just looking for a push and go. Carlos Rodriguez threw the ball here. Lovitz rides out the foul, earns the free kick. Opportunity now for the U.S. to swing one in the box.
Lovitz, outswinger, diving, header comes in, and a terrific save from Sandy Sanchez.
Christian Roldan at this back post with a late run, starts at the top of the box. The space is cleared there. Good ball played in by Lovitz. Christian Roldan with a diving header. Here you see it played to the back post. He's 1v1 with Rolando Abreu at that back post. And you said it, good save, good reaction by Sandy Sanchez to keep this at 2-0.
Arriola looped in. Aaron Long is there. Cleared away again. McKinney trying to set up the shot. Now along for Long. And his delivery is denied. Long dinks it in. And it's poked in by Jordan Morris. Almost apologetically looks at Aaron Long. But it's a brace for Jordan Morris. It's a third for the United States.
Aaron Long just winning this ball here, and I thought when it first came back to him, Aaron Long, have a go, big man. You're not in that position all that much. Makes a nice play here to keep it alive. There were two hands up from Arriola, which was the call to the back post. Weston McKennie keeps it. I thought at that point, have a go at goal, and then this nifty little play. There's a little deflection in the end off of Jose Armello. That's a hopeless feeling for the goalkeeper. Great feeling for that man, Jordan Morris, as everything is going right for him at the moment.
He might have just robbed Aaron Long of history. If Aaron Long is to score tonight, he would be one of the few Americans at the defensive position to put in 4 goals in a calendar year, joining the likes of Alexi Lalas, Marcelo Balboa, and Carlos Bocanegra.
Well, it'll be a nice list for him to be on. I didn't know those other 3 had it in them to score 4 in a year.
Clip that off and send that to them?
Yeah, I'm sure the phone is ringing already. Text messages are coming through. Some great players on that list. Good ball over the top here.
Morris again sitting on a hat trick, brings it down magnificently. Now clips it in. Slipped on the way to do so.
Good work by Jackson Yule here. Well done.
Falls to the feet of Reyes, though, and Yule commits the foul, more in frustration than anything.
Some work rate by Jackson Yule coming all the way across the field, involved in breaking up 2 plays. Slowing the play down with the foul.
Reyes has been one of the busier players for Cuba tonight. Looking for Morris again. Seconds could fall for McKinney. Hernandez scampering away. Hooks one along the line. It was a great ball for Reyes, and he apologizes. Curled into the channel. Morris again. Sends it across. It'll fall for Sargent. Takes it on the first time towards the back post.
Well, the U.S. has found some success in behind Daniel Marion, the right back. Every time he comes forward, a little ball dinked in behind him, whether on the ground or in the air. Having Dario Ramos, right center back, come across the goal and have to deal with wide players running at him.
Titi and Sandy Sanchez just checking up on Hernandez, who it looks like some sort of sock malfunction or footwear malfunction. Similar to my Monday morning. Knocking on the door of halftime goals from Jordan Morris, 2 of them, and Josh Sargent in the opening minute. Cuba have had a couple of decent chances. One big save from Brad Guzan on a deflection. Aaron Long was robbed of a history-making goal by his teammate Jordan Morris, but he certainly won't care, because at the moment, U.S. are moving on to the semifinals of Concacaf Nations League by winning Group A and League A and edging out Canada on goal differential after their big 4-1 win a few days ago.
I love what's going down here again, but this entire breakup here starts with Jackson Ewell. Will eventually be Jordan Morris who gets credited with winning the ball, but Jackson Ewell is the one who came across the field, double team, pokes it away. You're playing with one true number 6 in the game. It's tough sometimes to cover sideline to sideline. Obviously easier when you're playing in a 4-2-3-1, but Jackson Ewell keeps the engine going here, covering the field, sideline to sideline.
Ream along for Jordan Morris, who has acres of space. Delivery towards the back post. Yedlin did well to try to keep it in play, but he can. Reyes. Handed off the ball by Roldan, but illegally. Valiant effort so far from Pablo Sanchez's group. They've had a few moments where it looked like they might go ahead and score, but see from Brad Guzan, some good defending from Aaron Long, Tim Ream and company. Thwarted any thoughts with Cuba breaking through and scoring their first goal in Nations League.
There's never really been any question about this side and their effort, putting in the work.
Ariola, clever for Roldan, stays in play. Field back, but nobody making that delayed run. It actually was Weston McKinney, but almost was there, and Daniel Levitz commits the foul. Just 1 minute of stoppage time. Mexico and Bermuda. Last game of the night. That'll be at 9:30 Eastern time. As Tree will take on a Bermuda side that certainly impressed in the Gold Cup this past summer. A lot more than a lot of people expected. Mickey Wells, Zico Lewis, Willie Clemens, some very good footballers on that side.
And they lost in Bermuda to Mexico 5-1, I believe was the result. And just looking at the rhythm of the game, it really didn't seem like that was that's a flattering scoreline for Mexico. Bermuda had some opportunities in that one. They're very dangerous on restarts. They've got some big bodies on that team. They defend very well. It'll be a different proposition tonight, no doubt about it, in Mexico. Difficult place to play. They do have some talent.
And that's going to do it for the first half from the Cayman Islands. The United States got off to a really hot start. Goal from Josh Sargent in the opening minute. They had to wait 25 more to see the second, and then the same man would score the third. Jordan Morris recording a brace 13 minutes apart. And the United States, as it stands, champions of Group A and League A, would move on to the semifinals. The first edition of CONCACAF Nations League. We'll step aside for the moment. U.S. leading 3-0 over Cuba. Don't go anywhere.
Visit Concacaf.com. Follow along with our action on our Twitter and Facebook pages by posting @Concacaf.
Halftime here in the Cayman Islands between the United States and Cuba. Opening minute, Tony, it was a 1-0 lead for the United States. Certainly not the most aesthetically pleasing goal that they've scored, but they all count the same. And really, Tony, I think between the playing surface and the United States not wanting Cuba to get set up defensively, they've been a lot more direct than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, they have been direct, and they wanted to get off to an early start. It's been Jordan Morris down this left-hand side, Ariola and DeAndre Edlin down that right-hand side. Lovitz has added some. Very many opportunities. This is a good ball served in. Cuba has offered some resistance throughout the game. As you mentioned, they've been deep defensively. Pick and choose the times to get forward. This was really the most dangerous plays. This ball from Orion is going wide and deflects off of Weston McKinney. Gazan had to be sharp. That's all the work he had to do. Then this corner kick bounces around here. A lot of stuff going on in the box here. Ball saved off the line. Continues to be played here. Ariola with an opportunity. We've seen this a few times in the first half. Aaron Long trying to get that goal. He almost has one there. Here's another opportunity late. This one, Josh Sargent didn't know much about it. Here we come with a breakthrough here. Jacksonville has been quietly good in this game in the middle of the field. Recognizes the time and space he has. Turns a little flick on Jordan Morris. Now is the opportunity to make it 2-0 here. Good first touch. He's looking at the goalkeeper, but it's been the U.S. on the front foot the entire first half. You mentioned the field conditions. Hasn't been perfect. hasn't kept the U.S. from scoring 3 goals, and Aaron Long continuing to look for that record-tying goal, if you will. There's one more crack at it. This is a good ball played back. Well done. Nice for goal here, but Tyler, they were on the front foot, the U.S. Got to give them credit. They've taken advantage of everything that Cuba has given them so far.
Well, Brooke Berhalter saying before the game that they were really going to just enjoy the moment and enjoy the pressure of having to win this game to having to win the group, because it wasn't said and done. But that goal certainly gets them right in the doorstep of that as Jordan Morris puts it in. Apologetically, looks over at Aaron Long, but the United States will take the goals any way that they can come, and they lead 3-0 at halftime over Cuba. So between 3 halves between the United States and Cuba, the U.S. lead 10-0 if we're talking about it on aggregate terms, but we certainly aren't. Look at the numbers from the 45 minutes so far. Overwhelming amount of possession for the United States, as well as shots and shots on target. And as a result, they have the result, at least at the moment. We'll step aside once more. U.S. leads 3-0, second half coming up next. One more game, one more group to be decided. Mexico and Bermuda to kick off later tonight. Should be a terrific one down in Mexico. Just about ready for the second half here in the Cayman Islands. United States lead Cuba by a score of 3-0, and right now, as it stands, have Group A and League A in the bag when they will move on to the first edition of semifinal action in Concacaf Nations League. Tyler Terrence along with U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer Tony Miola. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for sticking with us through halftime. Tony, if you are Greg Berhalter, what might the halftime message be?
Well, continue to be on the front foot, continue to get the ball forward early, continue to try and score goals defensively, just be aware of the counterattack, and of course you always got to deal with restarts, and we saw 2 opportunities for Cuba in that first half that was fairly dangerous, so don't give up restarts deep in your defensive third of the field here, and go out and enjoy the ball. The field conditions aren't great, but that doesn't mean you can't move into proper spaces and try and make passes. Weston McKinney there addressing this group. Saw the universal sign for playing it long when you can, and they've been really effective getting the ball forward early, which we haven't seen a heck of a lot from Greg Berhalter's U.S. team.
Meanwhile, for Pablo Sanchez in Cuba, we talked about how this result probably is in the bag for the U.S. at this point, but job is certainly not done for Cuba in this international cycle and trying to qualify for 2021 Gold Cup, and they're going to have to go into that gauntlet. Fortunately for them, they'll have the opportunity to go into the second round and let the teams beat up on each other a little bit. For Cuba, playing against the United States is always tough. They're not seeing much of the ball. What might they be working on in the second half?
Well, continue to stay organized. As you mentioned, you're gonna get relegated here as we see the first substitution. Tyler Boyd's going to come in this game. It'll be for George Morris, so his night will be done. I assume Boyd will go out on that right-hand side. Ariola will come out to the left-hand side. But if you're Cuba, stay organized. Continue that 4-4-2. Continue to work on your movement, your positioning. There's still some work for them to do. They still have an opportunity, as you mentioned. It's going to be a long way and a long haul to try and get in that Gold Cup, but it's not impossible.
It looks like John Pitti is ready to go for the second half. United States with a comfortable 3-0 lead, but 45 minutes of football to be played here in the Cayman Islands. And 45 minutes until the U.S. are crowned champions of Group A in League A. And as away we go in the second half. One change, Tyler Boyd for Jordan Morris, so Morris will have to wait to get the double digits in the goal department in his career with the United States, as Josh Sargent putting the pressure on. Morris finished tonight with a brace. Sargent has the other goal. Not much to write home about for Cuba despite one deflected opportunity. That was saved comfortably in the end by Brad Guzan after a terrific readjustment. Will have eyes for March, which is when the semifinals will commence, and if Mexico are to get 3 points against Bermuda tonight, which a lot of people are expecting, then it will be the U.S. and Honduras, Mexico and Costa Rica on either side of the semifinal bracket. That gauntlet of a group that Costa Rica were in, only escaping with 6 points.
Yeah, that was a tough start for Costa Rica in this one. And back to that goal they scored, late goal against Curacao, a man down. They battle through that. They find a way to come out of their 2-1 winners. They weren't good early in the competition, but they find a way and they get through.
Berhalter on his way to his 11th win, in charge of this United States team. Heading into this Nation League window, that Cuba had strung together a couple of nice results against Nicaragua. As this ball comes in, Yedlin doesn't do particularly well with it. Paradella is there, and Guzan avoids conceding the corner, and it was almost disastrous for the Americans in the opening moments of the second half.
Tyler, just what we talked about coming out of the dressing room, deal with restarts, be a little better. That one not dealt with by DeAndre Yedlin. Ball bounces up in the air, and then it's kind of no man's land. Anything can happen. And sharp to keep it from going out for a corner.
Under the foot of Yedlin, and a sloppy start for the U.S. Certainly not exactly what Greg Berhalter had in mind. After the incredibly fast start to the game, the second half hasn't exactly gone in that direction. Oriola clipped from behind by Abreu. This for Santiago de Cuba. For long. Denied once by his teammate Jordan Morris of that record-tying goal, and denied once by, I believe it was Dario Ramos along the goal line. Tyler Boyd is recently onto the scene.
So thought Boyd would come over to the right-hand side. Looks more of a like-for-like substitution with Jordan Morris.
Boy, the switch for Yedlin. Didn't have a ton of space to make the switch, but Yedlin bails him out a little bit. Roldan, Oriola. Oriola, good ball through for Roldan. Stood up at the back post. McKinney lines it up and sends it back to South Florida.
He's going for glory here. Ball comes across. He connects with it high, never really comes down. Obviously didn't hit it the way he wanted to.
First touch from Sargent. Cuba trying to make the most of it. Good turn from Giancarlos Rodriguez. The Reyes spells a possession for Cuba. They go all the way back for Sanchez. Rizzo. Trying to make the United States work just a little bit defensively. Reyes brings it down.
Nicely done here by Reyes. You saw as that ball traveled back, continue to go back. Greg Berhalter on the sideline wanting everybody to push up.
These players for the United States feeling fresh after a few weeks off since the conclusion of the Major League Soccer season. Oriola too direct, and it finds the feet of Sandy Sanchez.
Yeah, that ball needs to be better by Oriola. This is not a difficult one to connect with. I wonder if it pops up on him a little bit. Should be a simple ball rolled into Josh Sargent's feet.
Tony Is that a nice feeling to be able to sort of conclude your domestic play and focus all your attention at the international level?
Yeah, you don't see it a lot. Obviously, the U.S. players that play in MLS, they see it this point of the year in the summer. Oftentimes, it's really not friendly games. It's it's a World Cup, it's a Copa America, it's a Euros. This is what the Nations League is allowed at this time of the year. Players, at least in Major League Soccer, who have ended their season. There was questions coming into it with the fitness of some players. Berhalter, they held a camp prior to this. Some of those guys could get fit.
Build up again from Cuba. This is delivery, finding Abreu, nods it down. Sargent comes back for defensive responsibilities. Thrown for Marmelo. Reyes gets to it. Paradella battling with Ewell. Giancarlos Rodriguez finds a little bit of space. Deflection, and Guzan has it comfortably.
Positive attitude from Cuba coming out of the dressing room here, wanting to get players forward. They look a little bit more confident on the ball. Sometimes when you're 3-0 down, there's space conceded that you didn't have early in the match. The U.S. may be a little bit deeper than they were during the run of play. So it'll allow Cuba to have a bit more possession in the middle third of the field. There's that run again, that interior run in behind Morion.
McKinney onside towards the byline. Broken up by Hernandez. Commits the foul. Ewell. United States more times than not in this second half looking void of ideas. Committed by Lovitz, and certainly seems like they've taken their foot off the gas. Talked about being able to put in full halves and full performances.
Be a little bit sharper here. The movement hasn't been there this second half so far.
Exactly the way Sanchez wanted to hit it, but right to the feet. There's Aramello. The Premier League is a good fit for Aaron Long. Should Southampton be serious about their conversations with him?
I think it's one of the leagues that he would fit in well. Aaron Long's a lot faster than I think some people give him credit for. He's a big guy, and you don't necessarily look at him as a speedster. Maybe one of the faster guys in this group here. He's got some things to learn tactically, but you always know the effort you're going to get from Aaron Long. And we talk about moving. He's 27 years old now. You know, there's not too much more time to make a move to a league like the EPL.
McKinney. Talked briefly about Jordan Morris and potentially move to Europe. Any league that sticks out in your mind for him?
I think there's a lot of places he can go. The EPL is one of them. I think there are a lot of leagues that Jordan Morris can go to.
Ariola circling back around. Underneath the foot of Roldan. Rodriguez stood up by Lovitz.
credit to Cuba here. They've never swayed from wanting to play, trying to get forward. Tough times in the game. Sometimes they've been pinned back. It's been the U.S. team that's taken advantage of opportunities. Give up that early goal. They've continued to battle. They've continued to fight.
Reyes stayed in play only for a moment, though. And 10 minutes have gone by in the second half. Still no change in the score line. Still no change in what that score means at the top of your screen. 3-0 to the United States, and it means that they do move on to the semifinals of Nations League. 2 goals from Jordan Morris, 1 from Josh Sargent in the opening minute of play.
It's amazing what a month and a few days will do to how the team feels about itself. You go to that 2-0 loss to Canada up in Toronto, and
the world seemed to be falling down.
Yeah, and to be honest, they probably deserve some of the criticism. They heard it, they understood it, they felt it, they responded. Ball here by Ewell.
Big ball for Yedlin. His first touch didn't quite do the ball justice, and it runs out of play.
Really nice ball by Jackson Ewell.
You have to imagine once Tyler Adams is healthy that he is going to be that number 6. But as far as who maybe second on the depth chart might be for Greg Berhalter, would you prefer Ewell or Trapp at this point?
Well, I think Jackson Ewell has surpassed Will Trapp. If you think about Will Trapp's history with Greg Berhalter at Columbus and familiarity they have with each other, and sort of a sense of calm that Will Trapp has brought to that position early on for Greg Berhalter, you would have thought he's the guy. I think Jackson Ewell has passed that now. What do you do with Tyler Adams? Do you play him in an 8? Do you play him in an 8 and maybe work on his defensive ability to come back just by nature, and he's a guy that will come back? Do you leave him in that position if Jackson Ewell is playing well?
Good problems to have if you're Greg Berhalter, no doubt about that.
You look at those guys missing. You've got Stefan, you've got Adams, you've got Pulisic, you still have Josie Altidore in the picture. Where does he fit in? So we'll see a like-for-like substitution here. DeAndre Yedlin, his last action down that touchline. Reggie Cannon's going to get his chance during this international window.
Decent shift for DeAndre Yedlin as he limps off a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of a limp there by Yedlin.
Cannon has gotten his opportunity, and after Nick Lima didn't perform exactly the way that Greg Berhalter had hoped at the Gold Cup, Reggie Cannon became that right outside back during the knockout stages of the Gold Cup this past summer. As Arbella will come off, and on comes Perez. Intended for Boyd, cut out by Rizzo, but his touch is a bit too heavy, shows too much of it to Ewell. Big switch for Reggie Cannon, takes it on the first time. That was ambitious to say the least. But he wins the Americans a corner.
Well, I like, as you mentioned, the ambition by Reggie Cannon here, thinking that he can pull this one off. It's not a difficult play to make as it sits up nicely for him on that long diagonal ball once again.
Hour played here in the Cayman Islands. The United States with a 3-0 lead. Looking for number 4. Lovett's back in, but rather half-heartedly. Back in by Cannon.
Be interested to see what Greg Berhalter does. Here's a nice turn by Tyler Boyd with his next substitution.
Boyd didn't quite put enough on it for Arriola. Rolled on. Ewell deceptive in his play. McKinney getting stuck in. Ewell cleans it up. Another boy to Besiktas.
If Alfredo Morales gets another run out, maybe in that 6th position. So you allow Josh Sargent to get the full 90 here. Giassi Zardes on the bench.
It's a surprise to see Morales on the roster this time around.
I'm not surprised at all. I thought against Mexico he was the best player they had on the field in that 3-0 loss. He got hurt in that game. We didn't see him in the next international window. When asked by reporters in Germany about coming back to the national team, do you belong there? Do you want to get called in? He looked at him, shrugged his shoulders, and said, absolutely, yes. I was a little bit surprised that it was Jackson Ewell that started, actually, in the last game. He's done a very good job. I continue to say I want to see more of him. The ability of Morales to even play in that line just ahead and alongside McKinney is also there. He's a confident player.
Here comes Giancarlos Rodriguez. The ball along the byline, but Daniel Lovitz was sharp to it. A little corner for Cuba coming up. We'll be working underneath the defensive mastermind that is Gary Smith for Nashville SC in their first season of Major League Soccer in 2020, as the angle from the corner was changed, but didn't affect the result. Cannon of FC Dallas in Major League Soccer. Product through and through. She scored a goal against his international teammate Jordan Morris at CenturyLink Field to help start the comeback in what was an all-time classic playoff game between FC Dallas and the Seattle Sounders.
Defending was optional on that one. Fun game to watch.
You barely thought that Seattle was going to get out of the first round, let alone win the MLS Cup after that day.
It's an experienced team that knows how to play in the playoffs. They know how to manage games. But you did think after that one that they had some issues defensively. Boy, did they lock it down from there.
Of course, Brian Schmetzer, at least up until he won the MLS Cup, was probably one of the more underrated coaches in the country. Defending from Abreu. Viola trying to just dink it through for Reggie Cannon.
Get the sense that Cuba's running out of gas here. They've been chasing the ball quite a bit here in this last 10 minutes. Better job by the U.S. to keep possession.
Ewell. McKinney on the turn, has Reggie Cannon with him. Cannon's delivery as he slips towards the back post. Boy cleverly knocks it back, and it's Sargent. Second goal of the night for the Werder Bremen boy. And the U.S. lead 4-0 now.
Boy, Josh Sargent just knows where the goal is, doesn't he? He sees his ball traveling. Tyler Boyd, credit to him. A good flick back. But Josh Sargent, always an understanding of where he is in the box. Nice ball played in by Reggie Cannon. Nothing the goalkeeper can do but make him think about it as this comes back. He knows he has time and a little bit of space to turn around. Gets a clean hit on it right through the center of the ball. Picks up his second goal of the night.
Picks up his 5th goal for the United States. Done from Tyler Boyd just to knock it back into a dangerous area. He picks up the assist. The United States continue to have their confidence heading into 2020. The number 9s that Greg Berhalter throw out there continue to score and continue to give him more of a headache in terms of who he's going to choose moving forward, especially in the semifinals in March. Abreu. Good recovery from Weston McKennie, and he's called for the foul.
Good effort. A bit late on the tackle.
Cuba go quickly. Last touch it looked like was off of Lovitz, and the assistant referee might have got that one wrong.
I'm with you. I thought the last touch was off of Lovitz, but was it out of play when he touched it or not?
Well, the semifinals were tomorrow, Tony. Who would you start as your number 9 if you were Greg Berhalter?
I think you start Giassi Zardes because that's the guy you started against Canada. Josh Sargent's still a youngster, but I think at the moment, Josh Sargent is growing into the good graces of Greg Berhalter, where Giassi Zardes has a clear understanding of what the mission is.
Here comes Tyler Boyd. Not too much on it for Weston McKennie. Still able to get there, though. It's a lot of work to do, but well to win a corner, and we're hearing that Alfredo Morales is going to come on and replace McKennie. And that is going to be the substitution. And Tony, looking into your crystal ball just a few minutes ago, we're spot on.
Well, it just seemed like a logical choice. Alfredo Morales had a good camp. Just saw Weston McKennie's final actions here in the game. Good night for him, solid night for him. He's going to get work.
Morales, of course, with Fortuna Dusseldorf since last year in 2018. His 1 goal and a 3-1 loss to Leverkusen. This one is saved off the line spectacularly by Sandy Sanchez. That was Morales' first touch of the night, and Sanchez says, "No, I'll have none of that."
Man, what a great save here by Sandy Sanchez. This is some reaction. How close he is. Would have been a good entry for Alfredo Morales. Oh, what a save by Sanchez there. Well done.
Had a few of those tonight. Easily could be 6 or 7 already, if not for Mr. Sanchez. Sent in by Lovitz. Just out of the reach of Roldan. Carlos Rodriguez takes it away from Reggie Cannon. Here comes Hernandez, the skipper for Cuba. Tackled from behind by Cannon, falls for Giancarlos Rodriguez. Weaves his way through. John Pitti says, "I was right there, and it was all ball."
It looked like Rodriguez there trying to draw a penalty kick.
Sargent taken down by Luis Paradella, who immediately knew that it was a bit of a rash challenge. Sargent wasn't having any of it. Jackson Ewell coming to the aid of his fallen comrade, and things get out of hand from there.
Yeah, the referee deals with this, and assuming Josh Sargent will get a talking to here. Good tackle from behind, Reggie Cannon. Too easy here from Rodriguez, just going down. You see the end result. As Paradilla comes across here, Josh Sargent not liking the foul. Tim Ream, the captain, having a word with him, telling him not to react. Well done by Tim Ream, calming him down.
And while the semifinals still might be a few months away and be technically next year, if Josh Sargent were to get himself into any silly disciplinary issue, he would miss the next match, and I think that's probably the message that Tim Ream was trying to relay to him.
Nice job by the referee here, just calming things down.
Best in our region, John Pitti. Hernandez still a bit shaken up after that challenge from Reggie Cannon from behind that thwarted the Cuba counterattack. Skipper always one of the bright spots for Cuba despite some poor run of form as of late. 25 years old, plays in the Dominican Republic. Hernandez back onto the ball. This time to reach a Paradella. Sargent did well to use his body there instead of getting knocked to the ground once more. Dishes out the physicality instead to Dario Ramos. He's claiming that Sargent went in with a bit of a chicken wing, but no call given.
That's the one thing you hope it doesn't get too chippy here.
Mentioned Cuba slowly but surely running out of gas as far as chasing the ball, and you're seeing the line of confrontation not only moving further back but also being less daring in chasing the ball.
Yeah, they're not as active chasing balls. They'll be happy right now to get their rest as the U.S. knocks it around the back four. See the red jersey pretty stagnant. Now they'll have to defend.
Passing, Alfredo Morales gives away a rather cheap one.
Like he got stuck under his foot there, trying to chip it over the top.
Ewell drives one a bit too direct, looking for Reggie Cannon.
Well, think about it, that's your number 6 playing a ball to your right fullback, who's the most advanced guy in the field. Shows you how high the U.S. has been able to push players up the field. Cuba's getting pinned back here quite a bit.
And some Outlaws who made the trip to the Cayman Islands for the United States. A terrific support group. A little bit of sunshine, a little bit of beach, and some United States men's national team action.
When you talk to your friend or your better half and you say, hey, I got an idea, let's go to the Cayman Islands. It's not a tough sell.
Places from Josh Sargent and Jordan Morris did the trick for the U.S. tonight, 15 minutes remaining. And Tony, you and I talked about this off air, and I think that the folks at home would love to know who you think probably the best center back pairing is for Greg Berhalter at this point.
Yeah, I said after the U.S. didn't qualify for the World Cup in Trinidad, as we were going through sort of what the future of the national team looks like, I still think it's John Brooks and Aaron Long's job to lose when it's all said and done. I think those two offer the most. Look at John Brooks and his experience. Hasn't played an awful lot with the national team, but one of the very few.
Lofted towards the back post, nodded back in. This time Tedder from Lovitz. Giancarlos Rodriguez looking for an avenue and went down way too easily there right in front of John Pitti.
Far too easy going down. It looked like he had a chance maybe to pull the trigger and have a shot on goal, but back to your center back conversation, Aaron Long, John Brooks, this is a guy that's played in the World Cup. You know the dramatic goal that he scored. I mean, there's so much to him. The time that he spent now over in Germany, he'll continue to grow. He'll be 28 or 29 when the World Cup comes around, and he has so much to offer to the national team.
Cuba offering a lot on this attack, looking for Reyes, and a diving header away by Reggie Cannon. Hernandez lining it up, being urged to shoot by the Cuba contingency. Picking up by Sargent, who's done well coming back for his defensive responsibilities tonight.
Yeah, he'll put the work in, there's no doubt about it. He understands that part of the game as well.
Hone. Football here from the U.S. Oriole on the break now, linking up with Sargent. Well, Don wants it in the channel. He'll receive it. Peeled back across, broken up by Hernandez, and a corner kick coming up for the United States. Probably one of their cleaner counterattacks of the night. One of the few chances they've had to do that.
Very good sequence by the U.S. This ball's picked off by Josh Sargent coming back. It's in the corner. 3 or 4 passes to get through the middle third of the field. They're off to the races. Christian Roldan, who is also back, ends up at the end line with an opportunity to cross the ball. Greg Berhalter, when he cuts the tape up, as much as he'll cut up the goals, that'll be one of the sequences. We'll talk about movement.
Fredo Morales still looking for his first international goal. Knotted down by Aaron Long, but straight into the ground. Long gets a touch to it. Sargent sitting on a hat trick will have to wait for it.
Well, Aaron Long may have gotten one taken away in that first half. Not quite sure if it was going in, but he was wide open on this one and completely misses the header. It peeled. He was a yard and a half from his defender. That record is still in his grasp. And he had his opportunity there.
And the record Tony is referring to is one of the few United States defenders to score 4 goals in a calendar year. He would join Alexi Lalas, Carlos Bocanegra, and Marcelo Balboa. Not the worst dinner for 4, I've heard.
No, certainly not.
Reyes is claiming last touch came off of Cannon. That is the case. For Hernandez. Cannon slips. Hernandez thought he had Raguzan beat at the near post, and it just sails wide.
And from the angle that Hernandez lined up, I thought he was going to try and bend to that far post. Raguzan had eyes at that far post. He pulls it to that near post and just pulls it wide here. You saw Guzan's first hop was to his left, right there, and then he stops and goes back to his right. The next mission here for the U.S. is to see it out, get the shutout, make sure you can keep it clean defensively. They really would have liked that shutout against Canada. They fell asleep on that restart, as we talked about earlier.
Lovitz. I don't know what to do here for Boyd as he gets sealed out. Just about 10 minutes remaining until the United States can officially say they're headed to the semifinals of Concacaf Nations League. What's your biggest concern heading into 2020 for this group?
Well, who's your number 9? And where does Josie Altidore? I still think Josie Altidore is the best number 9 we have. He's been plagued by injuries, as we know. Where you play Christian Pulisic, I still think he's a wide player. He's playing wide in Chelsea. We seem to want to play him on the inside. In that middle 2 in the 4-1-4-1. We did see him play wide against Canada. Obviously in better form right now. You talked about the center back pairing. That's really, really important. And I think more important than who it is, for me, it's the consistency at which they play. Play those guys together as much as you can. Have them have an understanding at the national team level of each other. They don't get to play, whichever the pairing is, they don't get to play at the club level. So you can do it at the national team level. So there's still some question marks, and then really the style of play. What is it going to look like? We heard so much about possession, and remember, we still got past that right back experiment, if you will, and how we're going to interpret the Philip Lahm sort of position. That went out the window. I like the fact that we can sort of morph into some of these new formations, different ideas. So there's still a lot to be settled for the U.S.
Big switch here for Jean-Carlos Rodriguez. He's been busy tonight. He's deflected by Tyler Boyd. Rev is going to come on for Pablo Sanchez's group that fended off the United States fairly well after giving up the opening goal in the first minute. And it will be Abreu coming off. Not a bad shift for Rolando.
It's tough in the midfield tonight. You're doing a lot of work, sideline to sideline, just covering spaces. See a lot of the ball. It's really difficult as a midfielder. U.S. is one of the things we talked about, defending restarts here.
Whipped in, and it's there for Cuba, but a diving save from Braguzan. And it was Eric Rizzo who was left unmarked.
So if I could rewind 3 minutes and have you ask me some of the concerns I have, the way things have gone tonight.
You just didn't finish your list.
Yeah, no, I'd have to throw in defensive restarts. It shouldn't be that easy. A lot of white jerseys in the box. Having said that, Tyler, I'm never a fan of zonal marking. I just think there's too much gray area.
Get to that in a second as Tyler Boyd keeps it in play, but broken up by Rizzo. It was Manuel Neuer who said it's a bit of a fallacy thinking that zonal marking is never going to work. It's just a matter of how you zonally mark and how you set up when you are zonally marking, because there are plenty of teams who have terrific, let's say, counter conversion rates when defending corners zonally. But to your point, whether it's man marking or it's zonally, you still have to be switched on.
Well, there's a big difference there. You're talking about a club team that gets to work on it every single week and work on it week in and week out, and a national team that gets together for 3 days before a game. And when you're in between games here, there's really hardly a training between games because it's all recovery. And then the other thing, the conversion rate on the counter, I don't know why that would be any different if you're marking zonally or man-to-man.
Diving header from Sandy Sanchez as Alfredo Morales took a knock to the head. This doesn't look good for either party on Cuba and the United States.
This may have been Reggie Cannon that got up for the first initial header. But if you're a counter-attacking team on restarts, for me, you can do it zonally and you can do it man-to-man. It's a mission to get forward. It's an understanding that you want to break out. And it was Morales here, and kind of goes down right after it. Catches the back of the head of Karel Espino. Looks to be okay. But with zonal marking, for me, it's not the end result, it's the first action. You don't get a body on a player, and the last thing you want to do when you're standing still is have a player run at you at full speed that hasn't been touched. And now you're standing and they're running at full speed. I think even at this point, I would personally take that as an attacking player now, because I'm able to run into spaces. And there's always that gray area where, Tyler, it's my ball or it's your ball. There's a split second in there where you and I have to make a decision, have to be on the same page of whose ball it is. And I think that's where teams get caught up. And I think at the national team level, when you don't have time to work on all of those things, it's difficult.
Come towards the other end. Tyler Boyd gives up in the play and lets Sanchez take it.
But again, they'll look at it and they'll evaluate restarts in a completely separate film from everything else, both on the attacking side and the defending side, and they'll say, okay, this is working for us, this isn't working for us, and they'll make adjustments.
All roads leading to Qatar in 2022. All things that the United States, and particularly the fans, are hoping that they'll be able to participate in. That has become the bare minimum at this point, and what was normally an expectation. Paradella. Brings it up a little bit too much. Lovitz with the header. Rizzo trying to slide it through. Took a deflection. Falls kindly for Cuba here. Might have come off the hand of Tim Ream.
Tim Ream did a really good job of keeping his hands down by his side. And as unnatural as that may be when you're running, somehow it's become natural in the game.
Perez. Jimenez just squeaks it by Tyler Boyd. Final moments now. Boyd gets cut up by Reyes. He bends in a teasing ball. Long is there, though. Ewell from some hot water here. Somehow gets bailed out.
He bailed Tim Ream out, but that ball he played with him didn't skip a line, and now he's stuck with a guy on top of his box all over his back and gets out of it.
Before Cuba will get relegated to League B after their performance in Group A and League A this edition of Concacaf Nations League, but they will head to the second round of qualifiers for 2021 Gold Cup. They will take on winners of League C and second place finishers of League B. Ariola had a good idea to find Cannon, but it takes a minor deflection.
Credit works back immediately, doesn't turn off at all, switches from attacking to defending transition right away and pokes the ball away to kill that initial attack. And it's little things like that that keep you on the field when things don't go well. Giving the ball away is one thing, giving it away and not working to get it back is a completely different story. And they're going to go back to that Canada match, and that's kind of what we saw from the group for quite some time. And so the ideas have been switched. The mode has been switched a little bit.
There weren't many good things coming out of that Canada game in Toronto. And Greg Berhalter's head was being called for basically as soon as Lucas Cavallini put that second goal away. But the United States and Ernie Stewart in charge of this United States team and putting it together have reiterated their confidence in Greg Berhalter and his ability to lead this group into the future. And it's always been a long-term plan for this team. Difficult to execute a long-term plan if you're only given about 17 or 18 games, and they've stuck with him, and they're going to get a Group A championship out of it and head to the semifinals of Nations League. Lovitz clears this away, and we'll head into stoppage time, which we're hearing will be about 3 minutes. And there it is, the fourth official, Jose Calise, making it official.
A good overall performance by the U.S. Obviously, a good international window for them. They made up a lot of room, get to the top of the group. I think there's a lot of things to build on, but there's still a lot of things to get better at. Fan, hopefully you find some positive in some of this and put some of the worries away. Now can they close it out and pitch that shutout as we talked about?
They're looking to earn themselves a clean sheet. Cuba, on the other hand, are just looking to score their first goal in Nations League.
Yeah, credit to them. Look, it's never easy. You're losing 5 and 6-0, and you can go out there and just think, well, at a minimum, we're just going to go kick everybody and be physical. They've tried to play. They've been organized. They've, at a minimum, showed some spirit. It's a credit to their manager, Pablo Sanchez, for keeping them tuned in. And hopefully they'll try and build something. They do have some young players in the group.
18 goals against, 0 goals for Cuba. We talked about those 2 results against Nicaragua. And now that could be maybe a launching platform heading into 2020. And trying to qualify for 2021 Gold Cup. So Reggie Cannon puts the brakes on. We're halfway through the stoppage time. Tyler Boyd. Sends it in, deflected. And over the crossbar in the corner for the U.S.
Well, I saw Sandy Sanchez, the goalkeeper, look up, and it's the most hopeless feeling when you look up and you feel like the ball gets deflected and you're a mile away from it. And you're just hoping for a good result when it's all said and done.
Similar look that he had on the second Jordan Morris goal when he picked that out of the sky. After taking a deflection off Reyes. Lovitz on the corner. United States looking for a fifth. Morales, great little turn towards the byline. Trying to peel it back for Roldan. Long will clean it up, and that'll most likely do it. Opening goal from Josh Sargent proves to be the game winner inside of the first minute. U.S. cruise to a 4-0 win, and they cruise to a Group A League A championship, and they will head to the Concacaf Nations League semifinals in March of 2020. Braces from Josh Sargent and Jordan Morris enough to do the trick here in the Cayman Islands. And the U.S., after a 2-0 loss against Canada up in Toronto a little more than a month ago, get two big results in this window here in November. First 4-1 against Canada, put themselves in a position where all they needed was 3 points against Cuba. They do that via 4 goals, and they get the job done. Greg Berhalter, a very happy man, celebrating his 11th win as manager of the U.S. We'll take a look how it all went down, and the biggest thing about the United States, Tony, continues to be starting the game quickly, and they do just that.
Yeah, it's something that's really, really important at the international level, and when you go on the road especially, can you get a quick start? And that's exactly what Greg Berhalter would have been looking for tonight. He got it from Josh Sargent. As this ball played in into a box, he thought Cuba was going to deal with it. Sargent, the first one to it, through the legs of the goalkeeper, Sandy Sanchez, and it looked at this point like there was going to be a rout. And then you see Cuba pick back here. This is the picture we saw quite a bit in that first half. Eventually, Jackson Newell with the ball played in, flicked on by Weston McKennie, and you knew what the result was going to be after that first touch from Jordan Morris. The way things are going for him this month, you knew it was going to end up in the back of the net, right place, right time. That made it 2-0, 26 minutes in. There was a period of time where Cuba had a little bit of the play, and then eventually Aaron Long with one opportunity there. And here's his second opportunity, and then a third crack at it here. And was it going in off the deflection? Was it not? Jordan Morris says, I don't really care. Things are going well. I'm in the right spot right now. And he looks at Aaron Long and says, sorry, my friend. That goal's mine. That's how they went into the dressing room. Later in the second half, Reggie Cannon with a good ball played across a pretty little flick here. And there's a goal scorer's goal, if you will, from Josh Sargent. I take a wild guess here, Tyler, and say that's not Josh Sargent's last goal in the U.S. men's national team jersey.
It's a decent bet, and Tyler Boyd, after coming on just a few minutes earlier, gets the assist. Josh Sargent with his second goal of the night. He now has 5 at the age of 19 for the Stars and Stripes. And the United States would continue to put pressure on Cuba, especially late in the second half, as Alfredo Morales was denied by Sandy Sanchez a couple of times, as Morales still searching for his first goal in the U.S. kit. And took a little bit of a knock there along with Luis Paradella, but would be all right and be able to continue. And that's how the game would finish, 4-0 in favor of the U.S. They conquer Group A in League A. Guzan gets a clean sheet. Cuba will bow out. This edition of Nations League will get relegated to League B. 0 goals for, 18 goals against within the group. That certainly was difficult when the draw came out featuring Canada and the United States. Here's a look at the statistics. Lion's share of the possession for the U.S. Everything that you expected from this Greg Berhalter group, and they get the expected result as well. For our entire crew here at CONCACAF and Tony Meola, Tyler Terrence saying so long for now. The final score in the final match of Group A in League A, United States 4, Cuba 0. We'll talk to you soon.